Salam sejahtera to Puan Diana binti Alwi. Today, our group will be presenting and explaining regarding problem-based task for the subject of routing essential, and the code for this subject is DFN40283. Before we explain and present further regarding our problem-based task for the subject of routing essential, let me first of all introduce my team members, which is myself. My name is Vinoshan, son of Nadason, and my metric number is 19DDT21F1015, and I am from class DDT4B. And my team member, his name is Muhammad AMIRRULLAH bin RUSLI, and his metric number is 19DDT20F2034. So today we will be explaining and presenting regarding problem-based task for the subject of routing essential. So as we can see in our question here, there are many required resources that we need in order to build the topology. So let's see what are the required resources that we need in order to build the topology. So one of the resources that we need is 3 routers with the model of Cisco 2911. We need 2 switches with the model of Cisco 2960. We need 2 PCs, 1 laptop, and also 2 servers. So let's fulfill the required resources as per the question in our packet tracer right now. So as we can see here, there is a router 2911. So we're going to place 3 routers of router through 2911. And then we are going to take 2 switches with the model of 2960. And then we are going to take 2 PCs, 1 laptop, and 2 servers. So as we can see here, we already have 3 routers, 2 switches, 2 PC, 1 laptop, and also 2 servers. So we have already fulfilled the required resources that are needed to build the topology for this problem-based task. Right now, let's rearrange them and rename every single routers and devices as per the question's requirement. So as we can see here, I'm going to rename the router. So I'm going to name this as router 1. I'm going to name this as router 2. And I'm going to name this as router 3. And then we're going to do 2 switches. We're going to name this as switch 1 and switch 2. We're going to have 2 PCs, PC A, and PC B. We're going to rename these to just laptop. And we're going to rename these 2 servers to DNS and web server. So I'm going to put this as DNS server. And this one, I'm going to name it as web server. Okay. Now, once we have already renamed every single devices, now I'm going to rearrange all the devices accordingly to make a topology. So under router 1, there will be 2 switches. One is switch 2 and switch 1. And under these 2 switches, PCB and laptop will be under switch 2. PCA and DNS server will be under web server. Will be under switch 1, and web server will be under router 3. Now we will connect every single devices and routers in order to form the full topology scheme. So right now, for router 1 to router 2, before we connect all the routers together, we will have to do some setting inside the router itself. What do we have to do? So we can see here in the physical tab, we will have to enter or slot in this module, which is HWIC2T, into the first box of every single router, so that why we are entering this HWIC2T is because we want to enable, we want to have another one more cable called serial 0/0/0 or serial 0/0/1 in every single router. So that is why we are going to do that. And how we are going to slot in this module is, we will have to power off. We will have to take this module, put it in the first box and power on. The same goes for router 2 and router 3. We will have to repeat the same process, power off, take the module, put in the first box and power on. Router 3, power off, take the module, put into the first box and power on. Now we will connect serial DCE cable to router 1 and router 2 and router 2 to router 3. So first of all, we will connect from router 1. So as we can see here, once we have already added in the HWIC2T module, we can already see serial 0/0/0 cable and serial 0/0/1 cable. So in this case, I'm going to select serial 0/0/0 because router 1's interface, one of the interface is serial 0/0/0. So from router 1 to router 2, serial 0/0/0. Okay, and then from router 2 to router 3, we are going to connect using serial 0/0/1 cable. So router 2 serial 0/0/1 to router 3 serial 0/0/1. Okay, and then from router 1 to router 3, we will need to use copper straight through cable to connect both of them together. So from router 1, I'm going to take gigabit Ethernet 0/2 to router 3 gigabit Ethernet 0/0. Okay, we're gonna make it even. Okay, so next is we're going to connect router 1 to all the switches, and the switches we're going to connect to all their end devices. Okay, so router 1, we are going to use copper straight through cable to connect from gigabit Ethernet 0/0 to router 2. Since to switch 2. Since switch 2 and switch 1, there is no specified interface which is written in the IP addressing table. So we can use any of the interface which are here, which are available here. So in this case, I'm going to use fast Ethernet 0/1 to connect. So as we can see, gigabit 0/0 to fast Ethernet 0/1. Okay, and then from router 1 to switch 1, we are going to connect using gigabit Ethernet 0/1 to switch 1, fast Ethernet 0/1. So now we are going to connect the end devices of both the switches. So in this case also we'll be using copper straight through cable. Switch 2, we are going to connect fast Ethernet 0/2 to laptop, fast Ethernet 0. And then from switch 2 to PCB, fast Ethernet 0/3 to PCB, fast Ethernet 0. And the same goes to switch 1. Switch 1, fast Ethernet 0/2 to PCA, fast Ethernet 0. And switch 1, fast Ethernet 0/3 to DNS server, fast Ethernet 0. Okay, so next is we need to connect router 3 and web server using copper crossover cable. So from router 3, I'm going to use gigabit Ethernet 0/1 to web server, fast Ethernet 0. Okay, so we have already successfully connect and build a full topology using the correct cables and also the correct models of devices which is needed as per the question. Now we are going to do our configuration. So the configuration, the first task is to configure device basic setting. And this configure device basic setting should only be done to R1. We only have to configure in R1. So what we're going to do is we're going to change the host name, number IP domain lookup, and many more. So we will have to go to router 1, go to CLI, no, and enable config D, and then we will have to change the host name to R1. Okay. Next is we will do the basic configuration. So first of all, and after we have done this, we're going to configure basic security. So enable password Cisco. This is we are doing non-encrypted password. We are going to enable the non-encrypted password. So enable password Cisco, and then next we are going to do the privilege enable password, encrypted password in other words. So this one we are going to put it as enable secret admin as required in the question. We will have to put the encrypted privilege exact password as admin. Okay, so service password encryption. Okay, then okay, and then lastly we are going to configure banner. So banner MOTD authorize user only can access. Now we're going to save this configuration that we have just done. So we are going to exit the config command, and then we are going to put the command copy run start in order to save the configuration. So we have done the basic configuration for router 1. Okay, next is we will have to set up the host devices. So which host device we need to set up, and what do we need to set up in that particular host device? So as per the question, we will need to set up web server and DNS server. What do we have to do it? What do we have to set up in web server and DNS server is that we need to set up IP address and also the default gateway for both the server. So in this case, we are going to do for web server. We go to desktop IP configuration 192.168.6.5. The subnet mask is 255.255.250, and the default gateway is 192.168.6.1. Okay, this is for web server. And now for DNS server desktop IP configuration 192.168.1.7. The subnet mask is 255.255.255.0 and the default gateway is 192.168.1.1. Okay, so now we have already done task 2, which is to set up host devices. Next is we are going to activate and set up IP addresses interface on all the routers using IPv4 and IPv6 address. So in router 1, we are going to configure all its interface that is connected to router 1. But before we configure the interfaces, we will have to enable IPv6 unicast routing. So we will go to router 1. We will enter into config T, and then IPv6 unicast routing. Okay, and then we will activate each and every interfaces which is connected to router 1. Okay, so first of all, int p0/0 IP at, so IP address, and the subnet mask will be 255.255.255.0. And next is IPv6, and then we are going to add in the IPv6 link local address. Semicolon, semicolon 1, link local, and then Notion to activate the interface. So as we can see, the interface change state to up. Okay, next is int g0/1 IP at, and subnet mask 255.255.255.0. And then IPv6 address, and then we are going to add in the link local FEAT semicolon semicolon 2 link local, sorry, link local. Okay, and then no shut. So we can see the interface change state to up. Next is int g0/2 IP at IP address, and 255.255.255.0, and no shut. So we can see this gigabit Ethernet 0/2 interface change state to up. And lastly, interface serial 0/0/0 IP at IP 255.255.255.224. IPv6 add and then no shut. The serial 0/0/0, the interface is the state is still down because we haven't configured router 2 serial 0/0/0. Once we have configured router 2 serial 0/0/0, then the interface will change the state to up and the interface will be activated. Now, in router 1, we will have to set the clock rate for the interface serial 0/0/0. The clock rate, we need to set it to 128,000, 128,000. So how to do that is int serial 0/0/0 and then clock rate 128,000. And then, so we have already set the clock rate to 128,000. Okay, router 1 is done. Next is router 2. So in router 2, enable config D. Hostname, we change to router 2. Hostname R2. Okay, now we're going to configure. So we start off with int serial 0/0/0 IP at the subnet mask will be 255.255.255.224. And the IPv6 add will be that is the IPv6 add, and then no shut to activate interface. So as we can see now, serial 0/0/0, it changed its state to up. That means the serial is activated. Now, next is int serial 0/0/1 IP at the subnet mask will be 255.255.255.224. The IPv6 address will be and then no shut. So the interface is still, the state is still down because we haven't configured the other site which is connected to this serial. To 128,000. So we will put int serial 0/0/1 and we will set the clock rate 128,000. Okay, so we have done for router 2. Next is router 3. So we're gonna enable config D and change the name of this router to router 3. So host name R3. Okay. For router 3, int G0/0 IP at 255.255.255.0. Okay, and then no shut. So the interface change state to up. Next is int G0/1 IP at 255.255.255.0. No shut. And lastly, int serial 0/0/1 IP at 255 subnet mask 255.255.255.224. And IPv6 address will be okay, and then no shut. So the interface has changed its state to up. Okay. So in router 3, we will not have to set the clock rate for serial 0/0/1 because we have already set the clock rate for serial 0/0/1 in router 2. Okay. So the next task is to configure the routing protocol. So we need to implement the routing protocol. So in order to implement the routing protocol, we need to do this in all the three routers, which is router 1, 2, and 3. So first of all, we will start off with router 1. So we will start off with router 1 first. The one, and then we exit config if and change it to config, and then we enter IP route 209.165.200.0 and the subnet mask 255.255.254.0. Okay, so 209.165.200.0 and 255.255.254.0, and then the interface will be serial 0/0/0. This command, this command we are doing right now is to configure summary static route on router 1 using the router 1 exit interface to reach the network 209.165.201.0/27 and 209.165.200.0/27. So we have done. And then next is we're going to configure static host route on router 1 to reach the web server by using the router 1 exit interface. So that command will be IP route 192.168.6.6.5 and the subnet mask 255.255.255.255. Okay, and the serial 0/0/0. Okay, that is for router 1. Next, we have to do it in router 2. Router 2 exit. Okay, in router 2, IP route 192.168.0.255.255.255 serial 0/0/0. Okay, and then next is IP route 192.168 3.0 3.0 255.255.255.0. Okay, and then 209.165.201.253. And then next we have to IP route 192.168.6.0 6.0, and then the subnet mask will be 255.255.255 .0, and the serial is serial 0/0/1. Okay, that is for router 2. Next is router 3. Gonna exit, and then router 3, we are going to configure the default static route on router 3 by using the router 3 exit interface. So IP route 0.0.0.0 and then 0.0.0.0 serial 0/0/1. Okay, that is for router 3. Next, task 5 is to implement DHCP for IPv4. So where we are going to implement this DHCP for IPv4 is, first of all, we're going to configure router 2 as DHCP v4 server. So how we're going to do that? We're going to go to router 2, and then we're going to put IP DHCP excluded address, IP DHCP excluded address 192.168.1.1, and then 192.168.1.10. Okay, the same IP DHCP excluded address 192.168.2.1, and then 192.168.2.10. Okay. Next, IP DHCP excluded address 192.168.3.1, 192.168.2.3.10. Okay. Okay, so that one is, this command is done to exclude the first 10 addresses in each router 1 LAN starting with 0.1. Okay, next is we're going to exclude DNS server IP address. So how we're going to do that is IP DHCP excluded address, okay, 192.168.1.7. This is the IP address of DNS server. And then next, we are going to use the pool name R1G0 for the G0/0 LAN and R1G1 for the G0/1 LAN. So how we're going to do that is IP DHCP pool R1G0 and then network 192.168.2.0 and the subnet mask 255.255.255.0. Okay. And then next DNS server 192.168.1.7 and then next domain name which is cisco.com. Domain name which is cisco.com. And next is default router which is 192.168.1.1. Okay. Okay, so we have done for the IP DHCP pool for R1G0. Next is R1G1. Okay. So for R1G1 is the same IP DHCP pool R1G1. Okay. And then next network 192.168.1.0. Okay, and then 255.255.255.0. Okay, and then the DNS server, which is 192.168.1.7, and then domain name, which is cisco.com, domain name, which is cisco.com, and lastly, default router 192.168.1.1. Okay. So in this case, we have already used the pool name R1G0 and also R1G1. As you can see here, we have already used the pool name R1G0 and also R1G1. And also, we have together done, we have already used the DNS server 192.168.1.7, 192.168.1.7, and also we have already put the domain name as cisco.com. As we can see here, domain name cisco.com and domain name cisco.com for both R1G0 and R1G1. And also we have already set the default gateway as well. Okay, next is we are going to configure router 1 as DHCP relay agent. So how we're going to configure router 1 as DHCP relay agent is we go to router 1 and then config, and then we enter command int g0/0 interface, and then IP helper add 192.168. Oh, sorry. IP helper add 209.165 point 201.254. Okay. IP helper add 209.165.201.254. Next is int g0/1 IP helper add the same 209.165.201.254. Okay. Okay, so that is for router 1. So we have already configured router 1 as the DHCP relay agent. Okay, next is task 6 is where we have to implement DHCP for IPv6. So what to do is we need to go to switch 1 and we need to configure in switch 1. Okay, so first of all, enable. We change the host name of this switch, config D. Okay, switch config. Host name S1. And now we will enter STM prefer dual IPv4 and IPv6 default. Okay, and then next is we will exit config mode and we will enter command reload. We save the configuration, so we will put Y and then confirm yes. Okay, and then later on we enable in switch 1 we enable and then config T back and then we enter the command int VLAN 1 and then IPv6 address auto config. IPv6 address auto config. Okay, so we have done for switch 1, which is what we have done in switch 1 is we have implement DHCP for IPv6. Configure HSRP active and standby routers. So what we have to do here is we need to go and configure HSRP in router 1. Okay, so go to router 1 and then we exit this config if mode and then we go to config and we put int G0/2. Okay, we will configure HSRP on G0/2 LAN interface of R1, which is router 1. So int G0/2 and then standby version 2. Okay, why we put the command standby version 2 is because we want to specify the HSRP protocol version number, which is version 2. Okay, next, standby 5, standby 5 IP 192.168.3.254. Okay, so let's wait for a while. So as we can see here, once we have entered this standby 5 IP 192.168.3.254, we can see here gigabit Ethernet 0/2 group 5, the state is init to init, and then speak to standby and standby to active. Okay, and then next, what we're going to do is we are going to put the command standby 5 priority 150 Okay, why we are doing this standby 5 priority 150 command is because we want to designate the active router of router 1 for the HSRP group with priority value of 150. Okay, so and then next is standby 5 preempt. Okay, why we are doing this is because we are going to configure active router 1 to preempt the service of the standby router. So, okay, so we are done for router 1. We have done configuring HSRP on router 1. Now we have to configure HSRP on router 3. So we go to router 3, we enable config T, okay, and then we'll enter command G0/0 interface. Okay, we are going to call why we enter interface G0/0 is because we want to configure router 3 as the standby router on G0/0 LAN interface of router 3. So, and then we put standby version 2. And lastly, we will configure the IP address of the virtual default gateway. The group number for this configuration is 5. So the command will be standby 5 IP 192.168.3.254. Okay, so we'll wait for a while. So as we can see here, once we have already entered this command, we can see that gigabit Ethernet 0/0 group 5, the state is init to init, and then later on speak to standby. So we have already configured HSRP in router 1 and also router 3. Now we are going to put the IP addressing for PCA and PCB using DHCP that has been configured. So we will go to PCA, go to desktop, IP configuration. We request the DHCP, so we change the IP configuration from static to DHCP. And as we can see, the DHCP request is successful. IPv6 configuration also we need to change from static to automatic. And as we can see, IPv6 request is also successful. Okay, and then for PCB, also the same, go to desktop, IP configuration, we request for the DHCP, and the DHCP request is successful. And IPv6 also we change from static to automatic. The IPv6 request is also successful. And then for laptop, we go to desktop, IP configuration. We change this IP configuration from static to DHCP. So as we can see, the DHCP request is successful. And also IPv6 configuration, we're going to change from static to automatic. As we can see, the IPv6 request is also successful. Now we are going to ping PCA to PCA to web server. So we'll go to PCA command prompt. We ping web server, which is 192.168.6.5. So let us check whether so as we can see, we are going to ping 192.168.6.5, which is the web server's IP address. So let's ping. Okay, we are going to ping again. Okay, so we can see that the ping from PCA to web server is successful because we can get reply and there is no loss at all. We have 0% loss. So from the ping from PCA to web server is successful. So as we can see in our PBT presentation content, I have already demonstrated and explained from question A to question G, which is question A, we have already developed the topology, and then question B, we have configured the basic router setting for router 1. Question C, we have also activate and set up the IP address for all the interfaces, which is router 1, router 2, and router 3. And question D, we have configured the routing protocol in this topology. Question E, we have configured the DHCP. And question F, we have also demonstrate the IP addressing for PCA and PCB using DHCP that has been configured. And question G, we have I have demonstrated the ping from PCA to web server. So when we ping PCA to web server, we can see that the ping is successful. So from question A to G, I have already demonstrated and explained. Now my team member, Muhammad Amirrullah bin Rusli, will be presenting from question G to question L.
Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Nama diberi Muhammad Yusri, pemegang Kementri Semester Seliti 20F2034 yang saya hormati dan saya sayangi iaitu pensyarah saya iaitu Puan Dayana binti Muhammad ALWI. Pertama sekali saya ingin membincangkan dan menerangkan tentang soalan PBT dalam topik routing essential, iaitu kita bagikan soalan H, iaitu what are the challenge in order to complete this PBT? Name 3. Okay, first, in making a perfect internet network where it involves 3 routers, 2 switches, and also 2 servers. Second, create a command configure routing protocol. And third, creating configure HSRP active and standby routers. Okay, we go to the next slides. Okay, how do you overcome those challenges? Just okay, by drawing a sketch of an internet network on paper and making a try and error on a packet tracer. Okay, we go to the next slide. Okay, which configuration is difficult to be implemented and why? Okay, the configuration that was the most difficult is to do is task 7, which is regarding configuration HSRP active and standby routers, because we had a lot of difficulties in finding the correct formats for the commands that need to be entered into the configuration. Okay. Okay. Next, did you manage to verify all the connection in just first attempt? Okay. No, we didn't manage to verify all the connection in just first attempt. We managed to verify all the connections in almost 10 attempts. Okay. And the last one is, if your answer is no, then how many attempts did you manage to verify all the connection? Okay. We managed to verify all the connections in almost 10 attempts. Okay, that's all for me. Thank you.
That's all from us. Thank you to Puan Diana for giving us the great opportunity to present our problem-based task for the subject of routing essential. Thank you.